with the Hall of Famer William Wilson, Mountaineer Mike Freer, Reggie Walker, big new doings in the NBA. Mountaineer Mike, Kawhi Leonard, disgruntled, wants out, wants to go to the Lakers. The Lakers have reportedly made the, quote, Godfather offer, whatever that means. So hopefully that means Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, Hart. Is his name Kevin Hart? What's his name? I don't remember his name.
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart. And I know he's one of your buddies. But and maybe some ones and twos. Mike, what are you hearing?
Well, the race is on, and as far as that deal goes, they wanted to get that deal done so they can find out, so LeBron can make his move. LeBron's not making his move to L.A. until he knows there's somebody coming along with him, and apparently they want, Kawhi to be that person. I can't see how this deal won't get done. It's important for the Lakers. It's important for the Spurs, and Kawhi wants it. I think. You and I talked about in the pre-show. I think the Spurs have really done a disservice to Kawhi throughout this whole process. I am in the Kawhi camp on this. I think he's
two sides to that now.
I'm sorry.
There's two sides to that.
There is two sides, and I'm taking Kawhi's side. I think they got all upset when he went and got a second opinion in New York from a world-class physician. They didn't like that he went outside the family, and he's been a good soldier about this throughout. He's been quiet. He hasn't said a word of criticism, and yet he's taken all the heat. And I think he wants to be in L.A. I think he's going to end up there. And LeBron's going to either end up in L.A. or he's back with the Cavs.
All right, Reggie, LeBron's not going to be the coach and GM with the Lakers. I think Magic Johnson is the GM, and they've got Luke Walton as the coach for now. Where do you see this heading? And as a former player, professional athlete, if you're a guy of Kawhi Leonard's stature, you're getting to call your own shot. Does it make you worried about public perception, or are you just worried about getting to the Lakers and we'll figure it out later?
I'm worried about getting where I want to go. Now, I would and it's easy for me to say there isn't $219 million in terms of a supermax potential out there on the table for me. But if it were me, I would probably, to be honest, I wouldn't say much of anything. I'd love to hear directly from Kawhi if he really wants out, though. But I wouldn't say much of anything. I got 1 year left on my deal. To be honest, if I really want to make them pay for doing me wrong, if you will, I stay there, I finish the season, and I leave as a free agent. I don't need them to orchestrate a trade to put me where I want to go. I leave as a free agent and go wherever I want to go, and there's nothing to discuss about it at that point.
Which kind of tells you exactly how badly he feels about the organization.
Right.
He wants out now.
And to that point, that's the position LeBron James consistently puts himself in. He has all of the control. He doesn't need anyone to orchestrate a trade for him. He can just go where he wants to go. And to me, that's the ultimate mark of what free agency is about. Players clamor for free agency. They clamor for the opportunity to control their situation. Yet, what do? They sign long contracts, and then they say, well, I want this contract, then I want to be traded. It goes back to what Carmelo did with New York and what he did even before that in Denver, wanting to be out of Denver. But he signed the extension first. And again, when you sign those big deals, and I look at it also from the Spurs standpoint, Kawhi Leonard makes a lot of money. So for them to get, because of their cap situation, which most NBA teams are, they have to take the money back within 20%. Well, now you're going to lock your cap up with guys that probably are not good enough to play for you, or guys that you don't necessarily see consistently in your rotation. So now you take a bunch of guys back for no reason. I would prefer, if I'm a GM, I would prefer a guy to leave in free agency. I want the cap space. I don't want bad contracts back, because in the NBA, you don't trade players, you trade contracts.
Well, what we're hearing is a lot of non-guaranteed contracts are going to fill out whatever Corey Hart, is that his name?
Josh
Hart. Hart, Kuzma, Ingram. Outside of those guys, first of all, Carmelo Anthony couldn't find a sucker to pay him $28 million. That's why he opted in to stay there. Now, Will,
Wouldn't you?
I'm with him.
I'm
want
opting
to.
in.
Absolutely.
Now, Will, you deal with a lot of professional athletes at William Wilson Clothing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of have an idea what the guys are saying, the players are saying. What's your thoughts on Kawhi Leonard basically calling his own shot, and versus LeBron being not just the first domino and not just the biggest domino, but all the dominoes? They don't start until he decides where he's going to go.
Well, I mean, it's big bank take little bank. At the end of the day, the league kind of set itself up. The league painted itself into a corner. It all started with the Miami deal when they let Chris Bosh and D-Wade, all those guys put that deal together. They opened a door. They opened Pandora's box. and now you set it up where the players have all the leverage, and the league set itself up to where they market the players, they don't market the teams. That's why the NFL strictly doesn't do that. So now, if you're Kawhi Leonard or anybody has any kind of even remote name for yourself, you've got all the leverage. Why would you play nice with anybody if you don't have to? So LeBron is 800-pound gorilla. He's a Victoria's Secret fashion model. He is the leader in the clubhouse. Once he makes his move, everything else falls from there. But Kawhi Leonard is going to be huge in LA. But you still, with the way super teams are developing, even with Kawhi Leonard there, unless they bring in 2 or 3 other pieces, which I don't know whether they're going to have the money for it, unless they bring in a lot of, like I said, expiring contracts or dead contracts, I don't know if you're going to get the money come in. You're going to have Kawhi Leonard going to be losing to the same people he was losing from in San Antonio. He's going to lose less games.
Well, they're saying
get destroyed by Golden State.
They're saying LeBron wants somebody there first as part of what he's doing. He said, I'll go if Kawhi's there, and then he's going to probably get Paul George, maybe DeMarcus Cousins, and then whatever's left, there's going to be whoever's hanging around.
But here's the problem with that. You're saying LeBron James saying, trust me, if you put him there, I'll come. Trust me. A lot of babies been born on trust me. And I don't necessarily believe in this mindset. I need some kind of guarantee. If I go in and give away the bank or whatever to bring in Kawhi Leonard there, and then all of a sudden somebody calls LeBron and say, hey, Bron, guess what? We could put together this package and bring you to the East Coast for even more money and a better chance to win it. He goes, you know what? Oh, this is hard. I'm going to take my talents to Charlotte or whatever.
He's not coming here.
He's going to pull one of those things or whatever, and then he's gone again. If I'm going to do those kind of moves, I'm not doing it on trust me and hopes and dreams and perspective or potential. I need to have something in writing that if I bring in this guy, LeBron's coming.
Multiple years. Now, Reggie, let me ask you this.
Yep.
2 Spurs offering different opinions. Steven Jackson, a former Bobcat and well-respected in the league, doing a very good job on FS1 now. He is seemingly on good terms with Popovich. He is all with Kawhi and taking his side and somewhat blasting the organization, whereas Bruce Bowen, who's won 2 titles with the Spurs, has basically called Kawhi out. Now, where is the truth? Is it somewhere in between?
Well, it depends. It depends on how much Steven Jackson knows, and depends on how much Bruce Bowen knows. Bruce Bowen may be speaking from the outside, looking in without any information. Jack may have talked to Kawhi and gotten a clear explanation as to Kawhi's issue with the Spurs, what happened, what some of the conversations were that we are not privy to. So I think sometimes when those type of guys get involved, you have to be careful picking whose side, because you don't know which guy has what information. Bruce Bowen may not be that tight with Kawhi Leonard, whereas Jack and Kawhi Leonard might hang out together in the offseason. We don't know that. So there's a difference in terms of the information. Bruce Bowen may have only talked to Greg Popovich. We don't know that, or R.C. Buford or whoever. So we don't know exactly all of the information that each of these guys has. And I can tell you right now, they're not going to tell you all the information that they have.
I will say this. You got to wonder. Now, you and I have talked about this, Kevin, that I'm taking the Kawhi side on this. I think he is getting treated really poorly by current teammates, former teammates. I think Popovich threw him under the bus more than once during the season, and he has been silent throughout. He's tried to be the good soldier throughout this. You don't have one quote from Kawhi,
Agreed,
positively or negatively about the situation or the Spurs or anything. But the fact that he wants to leave right now and leave $80 million on the table with a max deal, from the Spurs or whatever, he wants out, tells me exactly how poorly he feels about the organization, how much the distrust is on his end.
We always say this term, leaving money on the table.
It ain't money on the table.
You ain't leaving money on the table. Kawhi, the money that he quote unquote, because they give him a max contract, the difference in that money, just especially go to LA market, his endorsements, his marketability, all that stuff will more than make up for what he gave on the table.
He does the Wingstop in San Antonio.
But that taxes will take some away.
And the other thing is too, and Kevin, you and I talked about this earlier. Kawhi has seen what happened to Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
where his situation is. Isaiah Thomas is probably $100 million out on his deal because of the injuries, playing through the injuries when he was with the Celtics and making it worse.
He's got a $100,000 offer now.
And now, and who, by the way, is on the Lakers, in case anybody's wondering about where he is these days.
And let me ask this question, though, because we continue to talk about if LeBron goes there, then they get Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And I'm not saying those guys are not great players. What do you have the money to put around them at that point?
Exactly.
And oh, by the way, Kawhi Leonard is a guy that needs the basketball. LeBron needs the basketball. Paul George is the closest to a catch-and-shoot guy, but he's not really that either. So how do you decipher what kind of system they're going to run? And again, those guys have the talent enough to not even require a system, if you will, if they're just willing to play within an orchestrated structure with one another. But I say all that to say the reason why Golden State wins championships, it's not just those four guys. I talked about it going into the finals. JaVale McGee's got to play more. He played well late
Livingston,
in the playoffs, and they won a
Iguodala.
championship because he helps. Iguodala helps, and he doesn't make max money. You look at a guy like Sean Livingston.
Rotation
he's a playmaker
guys.
for them. Rotation. You got to have more than just three guys. Trust me. The Miami Heat, the LeBron James version of the Miami Heat,
They had Mike
figured
Miller.
that out real quick.
It's one reason why the Lakers are really nervous, because it's just what you said. What other talent's going to be there when they make all these deals? They're really nervous if Julius Randle walks on a restricted deal, gets a huge deal, and they can't match it because they're all cap.
Well,
because
I don't think he's worth matching.
Really
And I'm going to tell you right now, if I'm somebody that's got a little cap space in the West, I'm going to do that to the
Exactly.
Lakers. I'm going to put him on an
Exactly.
offer sheet and make him make a decision.
Exactly.
But here's my thing, though. And maybe I'm the odd person out in this, but if I can bring in three big-name guys, I agree with you, Reggie. You need some guys that can be productive, but they don't have to be it doesn't have to be a guy who's. This guy can be productive on Thursday. This guy can be productive on Tuesday. This guy can be productive here. You're not putting that pressure on them where they have to be extremely productive every night. So these guys can just sit there and cherry pick and, just show up. You get extra 5 points out of this guy, an extra 3 out of this, and that comes out to 2 or 3 shots a game out of 2 or 3 guys. That makes up that difference, but it takes that pressure off. If you got to worry about these 3. So you got to seriously put your assets, your mental capacity towards these 3 big players. You can let like when J.J. Barrera went off that one game,
Right?
And you can let
But
those kind of
Will,
things happen.
you're in L.A. a lot. You travel to Los Angeles a lot. You know the vibe out there. You know it's a city of stars. The Lakers have always had stars. They don't want 1 or 2 guys and a bunch of role players and rotation guys. In the movies, they don't have. You got to have the big names on top, and everybody else fills in after the fact.
Right, but winning.
How do you become a star, though?
Winning makes you a big game. Winning makes you a star.
Thank you.
Let's just at the end of the day.
Thank you.
If Kawhi and LeBron and whoever the third person is gets there and they start winning, they're going to all 5 be stars.
If the Lakers would have made the playoffs this year, they would have been saying those guys are stars.
Yeah, B.J. Armstrong. Why was he a star? Because the Bulls are winning. Steve Kerr.
Big shots.
Hit the big shots.
Ron Harper.
John Paxson.
A couple of years ago, because he made a couple of shots in the finals, J.R. Smith was a star.
Yeah.
He wasn't a superstar, but he was a star.
Shane Battier.
Yep.
At the end of the day, you got to win championships for this thing to make sense. And I'll give you another example, and this is what I mean. And I know the end goal is to win a championship. I'll say it this way: the Boston Celtics of the 2000s, with Garnett and Pierce and Ray Allen, they won 1 championship. 1. The Lakers in the 80s won 5 with mostly guys that they drafted, with the exception of Michael Thompson and Kareem. The rest of those guys, the Lakers drafted. And I understand that the landscape was a little bit different now. But the Lakers are also, correct me if I'm wrong, they're devoid of draft picks in the foreseeable future. They don't have a lot of draft picks.
No, and whatever they have, they're going to give away
right.
to get Kawhi.
And that's exactly right. If they trade them to get Kawhi and then they bring LeBron in, they have to rely on a free agent market of guys that are going to equate to guys that are similar to a J.R. Smith when he comes off the books, what Nick Young became for
Swaggy P.
Those type of players is what they're going to have to rely on to fill the roster out at small amounts of money to try to win a championship.
It's a catch-22 situation for the Lakers because they were one of the younger teams in the league this year. They had Lonzo Ball, which we haven't mentioned throughout this whole thing.
How about
For
that?
good reason.
And that's fine, too. I agree. They had
Potential
Kuzma.
says he's going to be good.
Well, they had Kuzma. They have Josh Hart, who became a really productive player at the end of the year once he was healthy.
4-year college player. That's usually what happens.
And now the problem is they got to get rid of Brandon Ingram, who was a good player.
Any offer has to include Kuzma and Ingram, or you hang up the phone. And before we go to a break, Will, this just came in. The NFL has announced allegations against Panthers owner Jerry Richardson have been substantiated, and he's going to be fined $2.75 million to support organizations addressing race and gender-based issues and fund league-wide workplace training. He's no longer the owner of the team. What's your reaction to that?
Well, he's about to get a wire transfer for $2 billion pretty soon.
Okay, so he can afford it.
$2 million.
Let's get that and pick that up later in the show. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill with Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Free, and William Wilson. This is Talking About Sports. All right, welcome back to the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill and Talking About Sports with William Wilson, Reggie Walker, and Mountaineer Mike Free. Right before we went to break, Will, it came down from the NFL that Jerry Richardson has been fined $2.75 million following the result of an investigation into workplace misconduct. Now, $2.75 million is like $20 to you. For Jerry Richardson. What do you take away from the fine? Is it enough? And he's a private citizen now. What does it matter?
It matters absolutely nothing. Like Reggie said earlier, he's getting $2.75 billion. $2 million? Man, you can get almost fined. That must in a NASCAR race.
Which, by the way, I'm assuming he's already put aside for the end result of this. If I'd be stunned if he didn't know this was coming. Right,
I would have anticipated a much bigger number. Like, he won't even know. He'd be like, oh, that's it? He's like, I can put this money on the side and go buy me another. Whatever.
If you're a Panther fan, you were worried about possible loss of draft picks, etc. Now, according to Albert Breer, the misconduct was limited to Mr. Richardson. So it seemingly is not a organization-wide situation.
It wasn't an organizational deal. It was he did something on his own.
Let's look at this as a whole, right? So we got the Jerry Richardson situation, selling the team. Mm-hmm. You take this all the way back to the Clippers with Donald Sterling. The Atlanta Hawks had their situation as well. And essentially, the punishment for all three of these individuals is sell your team at a ridiculous return on investment and go away.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Yeah.
To your point, Will, as you often say, big bank take little bank.
Mm-hmm.
T.I. been saying it for years. Big bank take little bank. And Jerry's bigger bank now is getting ready to ignore the little bank that is that $2 million fine. He's going to move. That's not even a drop in the bucket for him.
You basically just said, you basically want to get if you look at this in perspective, it's like you got Jerry Richardson laying on a beach. You want to, hey, we took a grain of sand from your beach. That's what it comes down to. He doesn't even know what's gone.
Will Brinson said the investigation sure got moving once the team was sold.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Because no one had fear of repercussion from the boss man.
No, I think it could have been, and Will, you can speak to this as a business owner. The other owners didn't want this coming out before because it would have impacted the sale and brought the price tag down, which would have impacted the other teams.
Yeah,
money talks. BS runs a marathon.
Trust.
That all comes down to. That's what it comes down to.
Church.
Everybody's got integrity till there's money on the line, and once there's money on the line, then you see who really got integrity and who doesn't.
Hey Kim. The $1 million man, everybody's got a price.
Everyone does have a price,
right? Will
exactly. Just, are you willing to write that check? If the market always wins. The internet, God, and the market always wins. So at the end of the day, they say, you know what? We're not going to because it's basically a conflict of interest in and of itself built in. You're saying the owners are going to dictate how much stuff happens. They said, okay, let's circle the wagons, clear ourselves out, make sure we got ourselves straight. Let's get rid of Jerry out of the way so we keep our values up on our property.
Yep.
We don't let this guy come in cheap. We're not going to let him buy a foreclosure. We're going to let him come in cheap.
Fixer-upper.
Yeah, so we're going to get rid of him, make sure the team keeps its value, and let somebody overpay for the team because they're overpaying for it. And they will continue to overpay for it because only 32 teams will ever be available. Let him pay up here a ridiculous amount for this team who has never really accomplished a whole lot of anything. And then you're going to turn around, and on top of it, you're going to increase the value of the team now because now he just set a new market. So just like this guy paid too much for the team, like the Panthers paid too much for Cam Newton, and the market just keeps oversaturating itself.
It's called an HOA program.
And by the way,
that's an HOA. That's all it is.
And by the way, thank you very much.
Homeowners Association. I even know that. Now,
this is a situation for the NFL. The NFL does this on June 28th.
Thank you very much.
talk about sweeping something under the rug. Nothing going on. No mini camps. Training camps a month away. Let's just sweep this under the rug. Nobody will care. They don't have to deal with any other fallback from it.
And oh, by the way, NBA contract opt-in, opt-out deadline day is tomorrow.
It's called taking out the
NFL
trash.
knows what they're doing.
The NFL taking out the trash.
But they could have. On all honesty, once Jerry Richardson was gone, he became irrelevant. So unless you're just somebody unless you get paid to pay attention to this stuff, no one cares. As Kevin was reading that, I was going, he's gone. Who cares? This is a non-story.
I agree.
So this could have been announced on the morning of the Super Bowl, and they still wouldn't have cared.
To your point, Will, you're right. Essentially, he is gone, but because the sale is not go through until July 1st, I believe is the date, he's still there, which is why, in theory, it's a relevant story. But to your point, he is, for all intents and purposes, he's gone, and his story means nothing to anybody.
Exactly. He's gone. You like I didn't even know that. To me, once you announce it's done, the league has approved the deal.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over with.
Yeah,
everything else is semantic. It's the distinction without a difference.
Yeah. Correct.
And so at that point, I don't care. Jerry is out. He's turning this 2-week notice. You give him his pink slip. You hired a new CEO. Now you just let him wait out his time so you can pay him his pension.
Yeah,
that's what
he's
it
not in
comes
his
down
office
to.
now.
Now,
at
David
Panther
Tepper,
Stadium.
that's the guy, the new owner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Paid $2.2 billion for 48% Jerry Richardson shares. He has announced that he's going to buy everyone else out. That's 52%, I believe. So that's going to basically double the price.
No.
Right?
No.
Or what?
The $2.275 billion is the value of the team.
Okay.
So he's going to essentially.
He paid 48% of that price, is what you're saying.
Well, in theory, he would have, but it looks like what he's going to do is pay the entirety of that price and essentially buy everybody else out, which stands for, I know there's one minority owner.
For the Jaguars.
Well, there's a bunch of them, but somebody's going to walk away and probably put in $4 or $5 million at the beginning of this thing, if that. Somebody's going to walk away with $50 to $60, $70, $80 million.
Mm-hmm. And the Panthers will be on the road.
And now he
on the road. Are you breaking news?
Within the contract, he is allowed to do this, and he's exercising a clause in the contract that does allow him to buy it. Some people have speculated that now that he says he's 100% owner, I can do whatever I want with the team. I'm open for business. I only have a couple years of a lease left. Hello, San Diego. Hello, Kansas City. Maybe Mexico, London, Frankfurt, Tokyo, wherever. Do you think that it's a move unless a new stadium is it that ultimatum coming soon, Will?
It may be a move with the new stadium. I mean, it may be at any given time because basically what he's doing. Anyone who has an actual vested interest in the city of Charlotte and the Panthers staying here, he's saying, okay, I don't need your interest. I'll buy you out so I don't have to listen to you. Go away. Because otherwise, if he had the intention of guarantee the team going to stay here, why spend that extra money? You already own the team. Once you own 51%, you're big bank at that point. Even if they gang up on you, you still got all the say-so, so no one can say anything. But if I take full lock, stock, and barrel, I don't have to have meetings. I don't have to have negotiations. I just do what I want, when I want, how I want. So the Panthers may say, you know what, we'll build you a new stadium. San Diego may say, we'll build you a new stadium and give you this. We'll give you one of those Bob Johnson deals where you get parking, concessions, everything. He's a businessman. He may say, look, I'll sell you, for whatever, 49%. We'll come to San Diego. I keep 51%. You give me this. And we're there. We're done. I own a team myself. If I want to do it, I can do it.
Now, would the NFL have agreed to let him buy the team if they didn't want him to keep the team in Charlotte?
Why does the NFL care about Charlotte?
I think they like the market.
24th media market out of 32 teams.
You know,
there are smaller media markets than this.
Yeah, but you know what? At the end of the day, and again, I hear what you're saying, and it's all valid. But you know what? The Panthers leave. You know what's going to happen? The Redskins are going to come back down.
Oh, no,
the Falcons are going to come back up, and the fans will just get a new team, and they'll move right on. Just like when the Hornets left. You know what happened? Charlotte just moved on.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say what you said is absolutely 100% not possible. People, the hardest thing to predict on this earth is people. Mm-hmm. That's the hardest thing to predict. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know what Tepper's going to do. I will say this: St. Louis, to me, and I have a little bit more.
They were offered the chance to build a new stadium.
Yeah,
and
but
they said no.
Right, and I have a little bit more intimate knowledge of the city. I got family there, and I hear a lot about the politics of that. I don't see St. Louis as a destination, even a thought from Tepper.
I don't
could be
either.
wrong, but I don't see it.
San Diego's
I
got a
don't
lot of
see San
governmental
Diego
problems.
as a possibility either. They've got stadium issues. The state has financial issues as a
Absolutely.
whole.
Big.
That just doesn't make sense to
Right.
me. I don't see any other markets. Tepper's a Pittsburgh guy. And
They already got a team.
And the thing that you got to remember, not only do they have a team in Pittsburgh, but there are a lot of Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia type of transplants in this area that will support him just because of that background. So
Right.
it just, to me, I don't see a viable spot for him to move a team that makes sense to me.
Now,
I could be wrong, but I don't see it.
But you're never wrong, Reggie. Now, Kevin Tolbert says he hears that North Carolina, South Carolina are fast-growing regions. Businesses are coming in here. Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. Businesses are coming into the state of South Carolina. Or this could be, Will, the opposite side of this. Could this be like Bruton Smith bought North Wilkesboro and Rockingham to move the dates for Texas and Vegas? Could it be he's buying them to move them?
He could be. I mean, anything is possible.
It's
I mean, like I
possible.
said, but here's all I'm saying is this guy has no one. Let's look at the facts. The NFL is an 800-pound gorilla, and now with the internet, the NFL Red Zone, all this other stuff, the stadium only holds 72,000 people. If you build a new stadium, it's going to hold between 70 and 80,000 people. So aside from that, the NFL owners care about who's going to watch on television, and the NFL fans between FanDuel, DraftKings, Red Zone, all this, they're gonna be seen. They're gonna make their money. So they don't care about all the companies moving to Charlotte. The mayor cares about that. If I own a team, if I move my team to San Diego, I don't care what California's issues are. I don't care what anything are. If I get my money, that's all I'm concerned with. As long as I get my money, I get my money back, my ROI on my investment. Because he don't have a personal connection to the Panthers. He got a personal connection, if anything, to the Steelers. He don't care about the Panthers. They're his project. They're his owner. Now he can say, I'm an NFL owner. I'm one of only 32 people in the league that owns the team. I scratch this off my bucket list. And if he moves, he's still an owner. And he's still going to make money. If he moves to San Diego and they go to crap, you know what he's going to do? He's going to sell the team for $4 million or $4 billion. He's going to make 75% interest on his ROI because there'll be a Paul Ballmer or somebody like that just wants to own a team that will make sure he pays his price. It's just numbers.
No, listen, I don't question any of that. I guess my point in saying St. Louis and San Diego don't make sense from a stadium standpoint is, and you might be right, maybe he just wants to move the team. But my point in saying that is, if it's a stadium he wants, those two locations can't build it no more than maybe the city of Charlotte is willing to.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, if he's going to build the stadium himself, does he need to pay a relocation fee to the league and some other things just to move when he can realistically and theoretically get everything he needs by staying? That's my question.
Stan Kroenke owns the Los Angeles Rams. He bought the land years before he even was publicly saying he was even looking at it. He bought the land,
right.
the LA Forum, the old horse track out there. And he also owns technically he let his son and son-in-law buy the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. And he owns the English soccer team. Guy's got tons of money. He owns the team, all of it. And he said, I don't care. I'll pay the relocation fee. $300 million is like $300 to you and me.
Yeah.
Or $3.
It's a business expense that is right off.
But the difference is St. Louis to L.A. versus Charlotte to San Diego.
But who says this got to be one of those two teams? Yeah, remember, he's already part of the Good Old Boy Network.
It could be Mexico City. Could be London. We're going to go to a break right now, but
it could be Sacramento.
It could be. Wow,
Panthers aren't going
anywhere.
anywhere.
The Sacramento Kings out there. I doubt that's going to happen.
Panthers aren't going
anywhere. Or as Shaq would say, the Sacramento Queens.
There you go. Or San Antonio. Jerry Jones not over his dead body. All right, we're just we're getting going. We got a good vibe here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. This is Talking About Sports.
We're talking about sports on
We're talking about sports at ADS. I don't know how to say that.
We're talking about
sports in, oh God, I forgot.
ADSN.
What is it?
ADSN.
ADSN, okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about sports.
Talking about sports.
We're talking about sports.
Talking sports. Talking about sports. We're talking about sports on ADSN.
Talking about sports on ADSN.
We got to go a full timeout. All I got to say is it football season yet? This stuff is too good to pass up. There's so many things that have to go right in a no-hitter.
A huge game changer.
I would have won the Powerball like 6 times. Kevin Casey here, and this is your podcast, Talking About Sports, the Carolina's own sports talk show.
We're talking about sports on AN.
We're talking about sports at ADS. I don't know how to
We're talking about
We're talking about sports in, oh God, I forgot.
ADSN.
What is it?
ADSN.
ADSN. Okay.
Yeah.
We're talking about sports.
Talking about sports.
We're talking about sports.
Talking sports. Talking about sports. We're talking about sports on ADSN.
Talking about sports on ADSN.
That's when you get in live.
All right, we're back at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. To the breaking news, as we just pointed out, Jerry Richardson fined $2.75 million for workplace misconduct. Interrupted our NBA discussions. We haven't even talked about the draft. Mountaineer Mike, what did you think? I think the Hornets should have kept the first guy they drafted instead of trading him to the Clippers as opposed to the second guy. A lot of teams I thought were winners. Who were, in your mind, the winners and losers, and what do you think of the Hornets' moves?
Well, the first thing, team that isn't mentioned as in everything I read post-draft as a winner, but I think they really came out great, was Reggie's team, the Memphis Grizzlies. I think they are back to being the defensive grit and grind team that they want to be, and they went and drafted two really good defenders in Jaren Jackson Jr. and
His dad was a Spur.
And Javon Carter. I think those two guys are going to be real productive for that team, and they're back to what they want to be as a team, what they were when they were really successful. I think Memphis did a great job. I did not mind what the Hornets did with Miles Bridges after the trade. I think he really is. If I was MKG, I'd be a little nervous right about now. But
I wouldn't be if I'm MKG with that contract he got.
Well,
he ain't going nowhere.
He may be doing it coming off the bench if he doesn't start producing.
He's still going to get his check.
He's going to get paid.
And that's fine.
He's still getting a check.
And that's fine. But
right,
I didn't mind what the Hornets did.
A lot of people are comparing him to a young Larry Johnson in terms of physical stature, grit, determination, but without the back injuries. Anybody hearing that?
My issue with that is Larry Johnson had legit post moves when he came out of college. I don't know that Miles Bridges has legit post moves. Miles Bridges is a physical specimen, quite an athlete. I'm just not sure what his skill set is consistently in this league. As far as the overall draft, I'll put it this way. I do like what the Grizzlies did. I agree with Freer on that. But for the most part, I don't know if anybody won or lost. Talk to me in 2 to 3 years, because there was a whole lot of babies that got drafted that don't have pieces of their game even put together. So I don't know who really won or who really lost. I think McCall Bridges is going to be a really good player right away. He's already fully developed in terms of his body and his skill set. So it's going to be interesting to watch how many other guys. I love what Jalen Brunson's going to bring to a team. And to your point, you know, some of these older guys that got drafted later, I think they're really going to help their basketball teams, and they ended up being second-round picks.
Speaking of second-round pick, Mike, Charlotte, I think, had picks 45 and 55, traded up to get a pick in the low 30s, and got the guy from Raleigh who played at Kansas. They like him, but I think he's a perimeter player or like a 1-2-3 type guard guy. What do you think?
I love Devontae Graham.
Yeah, I did too. I watched him all those years playing against West Virginia, and he was a rock solid. He's a clutch player.
Yes, he is.
He's a tough player.
Jayhawk.
Yep, he's a tough player. I think he's going to be a real asset for this franchise.
How tall is Devontae Graham?
I don't think he's more than 6'1".
How tall is Miles Bridges?
What, 6'7"?
No shot that those two are both true. Have you seen them stand next to each other? I don't know about y'all, and maybe Devontae Graham, maybe it's a little bit of his hair. But when y'all get a chance, there's some pictures out there of them two standing together with front office people from the Hornets. And I'm going to tell you right now, if there's a 6-inch height difference, I want to see both of them in person right now, because there is no shot that height difference is that big. No shot.
The league is a smaller league
Which
now, so.
also scares me.
Yeah.
So some guys getting taller and other guys getting
pushed around. His size, he can get pushed around.
Now, Bridges is wide now. Don't get me wrong. He's a wide body. He's a thick-framed, big guy. Yeah. But at the end of the day, he don't look like he that tall unless Devontae Graham is a lot taller than I thought.
Yeah. I was not. I don't have a problem with him. I think he's a solid player. He was in college. He was productive, which is what Reggie, you said. You know, 4-year player or productive player anyway. And he, I think he'll be on the roster. I think he'll be a good guy off the bench.
Now you're talking about short. No, speaking of short, Trae Young.
Yes. Let's go.
And that suit
Wait,
he
let's
wore
go. That was my next thing, Will.
to the draft.
The
Why?
suits. What about the draft? The suits.
All the attire was a mess.
I think most of the guys were in trend with what the fashion is right now. The short, and we talked about it. The pants are shorter. They're an inch above the shoe. All this stuff. I don't have so much of an issue with that. A couple of suits, not so much. But Trae Young,
You got that William Wilson clothing coming out?
that absolutely not. Unless you want to write me a lot more money for it. But
The Trae Young
and when they asked him about it, he said, "Well, no one has ever worn shorts with a suit like this before, so I figure I want to do something different." That's ignorance on its highest level. And where I'm more upset about that is I said he would be one, when you ask who would be the best dressed, because of his maturity and the way he carries up on the court and his interviews. I said I expected him to be one of the better dressed guys. I named him specifically as being one of the better dressed guys in the league. So it's an egg on my face. So I own that right now.
He did
But
the Doncic guy. He had the European look. He looked good.
I said the European guys would look good because they understand style.
This food gonna look good too.
Oh yeah. But Trae Young just really, no one has ever done that before for a reason. There's a reason. No one walked up and smacked Margaret Thatcher on the behind when she's alive either. Why? Because you don't do that. It's some stuff you just don't do.
I agree, and I shout out to my man Demel Davis out there. I know he wouldn't wear that, but there is you just it look. But you know what? Here's what I ask you though, because we often, you and I have plenty of conversations off camera as we get this grub in here.
Where's the rest?
One of the things that we often talk about is the whole concept of influencers.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think that outfit had to do with what LeBron put on before a finals game?
Everything.
Yeah.
If LeBron doesn't wear that suit, Trae Young does not wear that suit.
I completely agree.
Not at all. Because Pharrell wore that same thing 3 years ago at like the VMAs or something.
I don't know, but that hat Pharrell wore 3 years ago at the VMAs with that wood on it, I ain't got the kind of money, but I need one of them. That thing was fire. Not fire.
But yeah, I mean, it had a lot of that, but that makes me now question his decision making to a point. I'm thinking, you've been watching the draft your entire. If you're a basketball player with any kind of hopes of going to the league, you watched every draft since you've been old enough to decide you want to play basketball. You know it's your day. That's your day. You've waited your whole life for that day. The fact that you felt I got to dress like a clown to walk across the stage just so I look different, just because no one else has ever done it before. Why not? Somebody next to you should just walk around with their pants hanging all the way off their butt, with the zipper down, with a tramp stamp in the back of their back, because no one's ever done it before.
And from the Department of Redundancy department, shout out to Stuart Scott for that line. I'm going to tap myself on the back because I said before the draft that the best dressed guy was going to be who? Luka Doncic, the kid from overseas.
Yep.
He had a clean, sleek European cut, if you want to call it that, suit on that wasn't over the top. He looked like a professional. I was not wrong. I'll pat myself on the back for that.
You called it. We said the European guys would always look good.
I didn't think anybody could surpass Karl Malone with that tight fitting that didn't fit, that couldn't even cover his sculpted physique and the skinny tie.
But that's how they.
But Trae Young, that wasn't just not in style. Then that was ill fitting. Ill fitting. Will is never in style, is it not?
That's Jalen Rose.
Well, that too. That was the second.
Well, there was a time when ill fitting was in style. But you look at a lot of suits Michael Jordan wore back in the day. A lot of Jordan. I'm a Bulls fan. Most of Jordan's suits didn't fit right. They were in style. But them big old.
Well, you weren't open then.
Those big old shoulder pads and all this stuff. I mean, it was.
That.
I mean, case in point.
Well, thank you very much. I also want to thank the Dilworth Neighborhood.
I tried to let him buy the first time, Red. You decided to repeat it again.
I know. Okay. I caught it.
We got William Wilson, Reggie Walker wings down there. Some kind of speedy pizza gimmick here. The Wisconsin Bucky Badger beer cheese. Want to thank James King of the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill and Lanny Ford, who was here last week, who was in on the panel. Want to thank him. He does a great job with the Sports Talk guys and the Bottom Line. So I can't believe you're taking shots at me, man. Just because I like something.
I tried to let it go the first time.
I like those guys with the long coats.
So did T.J. Jakes and every Southern preacher from Alabama and Mississippi, Georgia, and Tennessee. A lot of them old Baptist preachers that start church at 7 and end at 4 like them long churches.
I like them.
They like they suits long like they sermons.
Sometimes less is more, though, but I like
they like long
suit. That's all
offer
I'm saying.
raises. They like to raise an offer about 18 times.
Yeah, I mean, but in that day, that was the style of that day. So I'm not mad at Mike for that because Mike set the tone then. Matter of fact, I would much rather, I think the league acted more professional. They dressed more professional. But you had older guys. But you had guys that been to Reggie's point, it was that odd guy that came out after his junior year. Now you got these guys. There's no, you're an old guy in the league. You've been in the league 5 years, but you're 22 years old.
And some of these jokers are like reclassifying and graduating earlier and later. I can't keep track. What do grade levels mean in high school anymore?
I have no idea. I'm still trying to figure it out. We got to get Paul Biancardi, our man.
Yeah, I need to know about this reclassification thing.
Yeah, and speaking of that, is we
Paul Biancardi, we need
all of our viewers here on all of our various social platforms. We have almost as many as William Wilson does. But the thing with the guy Carter from Duke, his mom is blasting Duke, and Coach K, in the most strongest language I think I've ever heard attributed to him, has flatly denied and refuted her allegations about Marvin Bagley reclassifying. And Carter, they thought, according to Mrs. Carter, that he was going to be the lead guy, the big star, but Bagley kind of came in last minute and became the lead guy.
Well,
now, for the sake
the
of
only thing I'll say to that is, why didn't Carter just play better?
For the sake of the fans, explain to them what reclassifying is. A lot of them may not understand what that means.
What that means is okay, you say a kid right now, a senior in high school, is part of the 2019 class. If he's going into his senior year.
2 outs, one more
Well,
out.
what happens is a kid that's going into his junior year would be a part of the 2020 class. What a lot of kids have done in the past and recently, including Marvin Bagley III, if I'm not incorrect, is somewhere within that year that is essentially their junior year of high school, they come out and say, well, I'm going to graduate in time to be a part of the 2019 class, the class that's technically a year ahead of me. I can reclassify and be a part of this class, which tells me there's somebody maybe being held back at some point on purpose, or there's some credit manipulation at the high school. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know how all of a sudden in the middle of the school year you just go, well, I'm actually in the class that's above, and I'm going to just go to college after this year.
A lot of teachers
Where they
tell
do
me
that
I
at?
was in the class behind a lot of times, but that's another story. Will, by the way, before we go to a break, your Arkansas Razorbacks. Big Sue, you 1 out away. What do you got?
Got my Razorback cufflinks on.
Okay, you got 1 out away from being the College World Series champions. And
that
they
was
let
a
foul
crusher.
ball drop, and then Oregon State takes the lead and wins the game. But they get to play tonight.
We got to close out.
So
Let me tell you something. Those fans there from Arkansas at the College World Series are off the hook.
Yes.
They are absolutely packing that place.
Yes,
It's
they
been-
are.
But we sell out. Brom Field holds 15,000. We pack out every game.
And they have a watch party there for this.
Oh, yeah.
For the finals.
The thing is, what people don't understand about Arkansas, one, we are not lacking for money in anything. Like, we have NFL caliber facilities, NBA caliber facilities. We have money at Arkansas.
And you're the only game in town.
Well, why are we talking about the state of Arkansas? We're talking about sports.
Okay, I'm just asking
So we got money there. Now, but we don't share the state. The closest we have is ASU, Arkansas State, which is basically the equivalent of UNC Charlotte. No disrespect to the 49ers, but they're not Chapel Hill.
No. Right.
So we don't share the state. The entire state is Razorback red.
That's what I was about to say. Not only do you not share the state in terms of college,
We don't have
you
a
don't
pro
share the
team.
state in the pros either.
No, we don't have pro team. Most people are either Cowboys fans
Jerry Jones.
or Saints fans.
Yep.
And in baseball, they're pretty much you're usually a Cardinals fan.
Cardinals fan, yeah.
All right, now before we go, we got some final thoughts. Reggie, your guy Anthony Joshua apparently doesn't want to fight Deontay Wilder. There's a lot of Tyson Fury said he'd fight. I think I sent you something earlier.
Yeah. There's so many. Let's isn't it? Wasn't it? Will, correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't it Meek Mill that said it's levels to this?
There's levels.
So it's levels in this right now. So there's so much going on. Joshua is posturing with his people as if he doesn't want to make the fight happen. Yes, they did send Deontay Wilder a contract, yet the problem was it did not have a date or a venue in which those two would have fought. That's a problem. That's number one. Now you add the Tyson Fury, then you add the fact that the deal doesn't get done. You got the Tyson Fury stuff out there coming at Deontay Wilder. Then I believe it was either the IBF or the WBA. I think it was the IBF, is threatening to strip Anthony Joshua. Mind you, this is a unification fight with him and Wilder. Would have been a unification fight for all 4 belts. Now they're threatening to strip him of a belt if he does not sign to fight Povetkin as a mandatory challenger in the next couple of weeks. They need to get that deal done. So now they would take away a real unification fight because I guess they don't want their belt involved in the unification fight. So now you've got a sanctioning body playing games. You've got Eddie Hearn playing games with his deal with DAZN for a streaming standpoint. You've got Anthony Joshua and them not putting together a true contract. And then when they did send something to Wilder, which I don't blame him for not doing, he didn't sign it because there were some things missing in it. This is the problem with the business of boxing. And if you don't get somebody to control this crap, you're going to lose the sport altogether. That's just my point.
You could have made that claim 30 years ago.
That's absolutely right. It's the same story, and it ain't going to never change.
All right, Mountaineer Mike, you got a final thought?
I'm going to get personal here, if you don't mind for a second. Today is my 12th wedding anniversary, and a shout-out to my wife, Betty.
Happy anniversary, brother.
Thank you very much.
Happy Annie.
I absolutely married
Don't
up,
say that to
believe me. I married up when she said I do. So just a shout-out to her. I love you with all my heart, and thank you for not leaving me after a couple of weeks when you probably should have.
Hey, did you meet her? Did you meet her in college at West Virginia? Or
I met her at college in West Virginia.
Oh, okay, is she from West Virginia? Or
She's
New York
a Morgantown native.
Get out that man business.
I'm saying, you
I
all
want to know.
I have no problem talking about my wife.
All in that man business.
The dating network, were you eHarmony or something?
I need that right now. Will.
At least what? Well, hey, farmers only.
I'm just saying.
eHarmony.
Yeah, Kevin, you don't have to be lonely at farmersonly.com.
Okay, but I'm not lonely, by the way. But just saying.
Stay off Tinder.
Anyway, let me stop.
Boy.
But mine, I'm going to something that's more of an annoyance. I was just seeing earlier said, will the Mets call up Tim Tebow? Can we please stop trying to make Tim Tebow a top-tier athlete at everything?
He's only in Double-A.
But they're talking. They just said it in a minute. Like literally, I was just looking up and said, "Will the Mets call him up?"
What are his numbers?
They look good.
I'm a Mets fan. I don't care. Bring him up.
I mean, I'm just at the point. I'm just sick of. It's like you watch fans. And here's what gets me with Tebow, and he's probably a nice guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy or whatever. He may be a very nice guy. But let's not act like he's this little humble whatever. The only reason Tim Tebow is not in the league because his arrogance won't let him play anything but quarterback. If Tim Tebow just understood the appreciation and the fact that you could be on an NFL roster living the dreams of millions of kids, and only you didn't, your ego is so big that you will not play fullback or anything else. You said, if I can't be a quarterback, I'll be something else. So all these other teams keep trying to bring him in, and the Mets bring him in all the stuff, so we get the Michael Jordan 2.0 version of just make him a baseball player and all this other stuff. And he may be a decent baseball player. I'm not saying he's not. But I just get sick of, it's almost like there's certain groups of people that if they do one thing, they're done forever.
So you
think Tim Tebow,
like maybe a Mitch Mustaine who played at Arkansas quarterback, went to the league agreeing to play tight end.
Yeah, Matt Jones. There's a lot of guys.
Jones,
Ted Ginn? Was it Ted Ginn? That was a quarterback, and then he ended up being a punt returner,
Jim
right?
Crash Jensen who played for the Dolphins.
Josh Cribbs.
Yeah, it's a lot of guys that have to play outside of position just to get to the league. They understand. I hate these Tim Tebow, Kobe Bryant, Eli Manning. These guys that think it's their birthright, they're born, they're God's gift to whatever sport it is. Dude, these teams and leagues going to be around whether you're here or not. You're not so sanctimonious and so important. You literally don't have $1 effect on these leagues. If all these guys, if Kobe would have never played basketball a day in his life, the NBA is still here. If Michael Jordan had to play, NBA is still here. They're not that important that we got to suddenly pick up. We're going to make these guys stars. We're going to find a way to put them somewhere relevant just because they're so special. They're not that special. Any of them can be replaced at any given time.
Big bank take little bank.
There you go. World Cup's going on. I know the USA's not involved, so I don't know.
Neither is Germany.
Viva Mexico.
Yeah.
Colombia, James Rodriguez.
Great job. You talked to some kids today, Will. We'll have to hear about that at a future show. Bad luck. I was out at the JTG Doherty Racing Shop last week after the show. Saw Mark Kelso, our buddy, Gib Miller, and those guys out at the track. I guess I brought him bad luck, Will, because A.J. Allmendinger misses a shift after winning stage 1, and he's toast. And so I guess I was bad luck for him. So,
Probably.
And so, but I think that where are they going? Where are they going? Chicagoland this week?
I
I think
I don't even remember now.
But it seems to me, Will.
I thought they were in Sonoma.
It seems to me it's a 3-man race between Kyle Busch, Martin Truex, and Kevin Harvick. Who's going to be the fourth guy? And do you need to do anything? It looks like it's competitive right now.
Well, once
other than those guys,
once you get to the chase, it's really hard to tell because a lot of these teams, once they know they're in, they literally just start testing for the rest of the season. They kind of take the Jimmy Johnson mold. So then once the chase starts, then you may start seeing these guys that start just.
I think he's going to be the fourth guy.
He could be.
All right. Well, another great show in the books for Kevin Tolbert.
Kurt Busch!
Your guy, Kurt Busch, he's not here, but we want open invitation to Kurt Busch anytime to come on with Will. And thanks to Alan Dietz for doing all the great auto racing work, Jeff Taylor and all of our friends. Reggie Walker, Mountaineer Mike Freer, William Wilson. I'm Kevin Casey. We're here at the Dilworth Neighborhood Grill. Come see us next week. So long for now.
Ennis Cantor opt into the 18.6.